नमामि शंकराचार्य गुरुपाद सरोरुहम् यस्य प्रसादात् मूढोऽपि सर्वज्ञोऽहं सदा भवम् कामाक्षी करुणारूपं कामकोटि जगद्गुरुं चिन्मूर्तिं कलये चित्ते शंकराचार्यमव्ययम् भक्ताग्रगिरिसम्भूता शंकरार्णवगामिनी पुनातु भवनं पुण्या श्रीगुरोः सरितापगा वेद वेदांत साम्राज्य धर्म कामार्थ मोक्षदम् विद्यारण्यं नुमः पुण्यं जो विद्यारण्यमच्छिनत् सदाशिव श्री ब्रह्मेन्द्र धृतः स्वपद पादुकान् धीरान् परशिवेन्द्रार्यान् ध्यायामि सततं हृदि देवे देहे च देशे च भक्त्यारोग्य सुखप्रदम् उथ पामर सेव्यन्तं श्री जयेन्द्रं नमाम्यहम् नमामि शंकरान्वाख्य विजयेन्द्र सरस्वतीं श्री गुरुं शिष्टमार्गानुनेतारं सन्मतिप्रदं सत्यनारायण क्षेत्रात् सत्यव्रतमुपागतम् आश्रये कामकोटीशं सत्यश्री चंद्रशेखरं सदाशिव समारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरु परम्पराम्. Shri Shankara Bhagavatpāda's 2500th Aradhana was conducted last year, and after that, our Shri Kanchi Kamakoti Mulamnaya Sarvagya Peethadipati Jagadguru Shri Shankara Vijayam Saraswati Shankaracharya Swami performed Abhisheka of Ramanatha Swami at Rameshwaram by his own hands and thereby completed his Tirtha Yatra. Starting from that auspicious occasion, with the prarthana of doing anusandhana of all the original Shankara Vijaya texts, we have started this prayatana in the name of Shri Shankara Bhagavatpāda Aradhana Upanyasamala. And right now in this 37th session of this series, in the Anandagiriya Shankara Vijaya, composed by one Anandagiriya, a direct disciple of Bhagavatpāda, we will be examining starting from the 57th Prakarana. So in the previous Prakarana, the story of how Bhagavatpāda had the discussion with Mandara Mishra was described, and it is said that in fact that discussion went on for 100 days, and the agreement which was taken up at the time was that Mandara Mishra, who was fiercely opposed to sannyasa ashrama, said that if he were defeated in debate, then he would take up sannyasa ashrama. And Bhagavatpāda made the counter proposal that if Bhagavatpāda were to be defeated in debate, which is not going to happen and did not happen anyway, but nevertheless, that Bhagavatpāda would take up grihastha ashrama. So at the end of this debate, then Mandara Mishra could no longer continue arguing with Bhagavatpāda. And in fact, it was the Dharmapatni of Mandara Mishra, Sarasavani, who was appointed as the judge. Mandara Mishra was, in fact, he was a great scholar and he was considered to be an avatar of Brahma. And his Patni Sarasavani was obviously an avatar of Saraswati Devi herself. And this lady, she every day she used to come and inform her Bharta that you please, the food is ready, so please invite this sannyasi for having bhiksha, which is the proper procedure. And on the final day, she saw that her husband's paksha was lost, but she followed the shistachara of not overtly declaring that, and instead she went to her husband and she asked him, Swamin, please come for bhiksha, implying that he had to take up sannyasa, and which in turn indirectly indicated that Bhagavatpāda had won. So Bhagavatpāda was very appreciative of this, of how she handled the situation, of her adherence to truth as well as to Shishtachara in expressing this in such a very diplomatic way. So then after this, when Mandara Mishra was about to take sannyasa, so this is where the 57th Prakarana starts. Pati yatyashrama grahanat purvakshane. So just before Mandara Mishra was about to take sannyasa, Saraswati Devi felt that she had come to Bholoka to be along with her Bharta. So if her Bharta is going to take up sannyasa, then she can no longer stay with him. Then why should she stay in Bholoka? So Gaganam avalambya brahmalokam gachantim sarasavanim mahanasat Gavakshabilat Drishtva. So she was about to leave that place by Akashamarga to going to Brahmaloka. And at that time, Bhagavatpāda saw her through the window, and immediately she says, Drishtva Paramaguruho Vanadurga Mantrena Tad Digbandhana Machakara. So through Vanadurga Mantra, and he made Digbandhana, he prevented the movement of the Devi to her, the Brahmaloka. So even in many other sources, it is clearly said that this was the mantra that Bhagavatpāda used, Badhran Yaram Sudurgat. And so using that Durga mantra, he prevented her from leaving Bhuloka. And immediately he speaks to her, Tadarantaram Bhos Sarasabani, Tvam Brahmashakti Rasi, Tatamsha Bhutasya Mandaramishrassya Patniva Upadhina Pratibhalasi, Kasman Mayasagam Prasangam Kritva Agantum Arhasi. So Bhagavatpāda, obviously, he is Shiva Avatara, and he knows that Mandara Mishra is Brahma Avatara and Saraswati is Sarasavani is Saraswati Avatara. So in other texts, actually, it is said that Sarasavani, in an attempt to prevent the loss of her Bharta in debate, she claimed, she put forth the proposal that the wife she has a half. She is half true and even half of her Bharta. So if only she were also won over in debate, then the loss of her Bharta could be accepted. But here in this text, the Charitra is such that Bhagavatpāda himself calls her because she is Vidyadhi Devata. And so Bhagavatpāda wants to debate with her, and it was he who called her. That is how it is there in this text. In whatever text, whatever is there in the text, we are obliged to say it as it is. So, Tasmat Maya Sakam Prasangam Kritva Gantum Arhasi Idi Paramaguruna Ukta Pratyuvacha Patisanyasat Purvameva Prithvi Karma Phala Sampadhanakari Maya Manasa Parityakta. So once my Bharta is about to take sannyasa, then immediately in my mind I had discarded the notion of continuing to live on this earth. See, what for should I live on the earth? I do not need to accumulate any karma or do any karma anushtana to achieve something new. So it is only to be with him that I came here. Now that this is no longer possible, I am leaving. Tasmat prithvim punaraham nasprishami. So I will not come back and touch the earth, is what she declares. Heyate tvantu bhostha katham prasangaya eka vishayavastitihi yujjate iti. So your land is standing on the ground, then how are we going to debate? Because I don't want to come to the ground. Tam Paramaguruho Emam Vadanti Pratyaha Mataha Katha Bhutapi Bhumyupari Akashe Hastashadka Matrena Vatishtha. So even then, above the ground, you can stay in the space of 5 hands lengths above the ground. Bayasaha Sangam Sarvavak Prapancha Sancharam Kritva Gachasi iti. So you can have a detailed discussion of all shastras along with me, and then later on you can leave. Sa tatha bhutva tena saha sarva shastreshu Veda itihasa puraneshvapi samagram prasangam kritva. So she accepted that, and in all shastras she had debate with him. And as we say, Bhagavatpāda is Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam. So in all these shastras she debated with him. And yati tiraskaraya tad dushpravesha kamakala shastre Nayika Nayika Bhedakala Prapanche Kritabuddhirasi. So she thought, okay, let me, how is it possible for me to defeat him? So because he knows everything. And she then thought of this upaya, that because he is a sannyasi, especially since he came to sannyasa directly from Brahmacharya Sharma, it is not possible for him to know about Kamakala Shastra, Kama Shastra, which is talking about the relationship between the Nayika, Nayaka, and so on. So, if we look at this, if we consider him as a Shiva Avatara, then obviously he knows everything. But because in this Manushya Rupa, he is in the form of a sannyasi, and it is not physically possible for him to know that particular Shastra. And if he expresses his Sarvajñatva from his Ishwariya Swarupa, then it would be a cause for an apavada for his sannyasa Rupa. Tadanim yativaraha tatkala anabhigyaha. So he is not really anabhigyaha, he is actually abhigya from the Ishwariya Swarupa, but practically he is an anabhigya as far as this Manushya Rupa is concerned. Tushtimasa. So he became silent, he was not sure immediately how to reply. He thought about it, इत्यनन्त आनन्दगिरि कृतौ सरसवाण्या सह यतिप्रसङ्गप्रपञ्चो नाम प्रकरणं 57 thus ends the 57th प्रकरणं ततः सरसवाणीं किल यतिवरम् इदमब्रवीत्. So then Sarasavani herself, she continues. She says, Bhavad avaditam shastrantaram asti kila tam aham janami. So she says, okay, so there is one shastra in which you are not knowledgeable, which I know. Khalavit Paramaguruhu Pratyuvacha. So Bhagavatpāda, he knows the proper time to give proper reply. So he then tells her, Mataha tatraiva shanmasam tishtha पश्चात षण्मासं तिष्ठ पश्चात कथासु च सति सर्व विभेदासु करोम्यर्थ विनिर्णयम्. So please stay here for 6 months, and later after that I will speak with you, and in any shastra which implies the one in which you have asked me right now, I will give you a befitting a definitive reply. Itukta Shapathapurukam. So he assured her that he would be back, and but even though he assured her, he was probably concerned that Bhagavati might leave. So Bhagavatim Tatraiva Gaganamandale Samsthapya. So because of his Digbandhara, he made her stay there only. Sarva Shishyan Yathayatanam Preshayitva. So all Shishyas, he instructed them to go, you stay in this place, and so on. Chaturbhish Shishyavaraihi. So he retained only 4 senior-most Shishyas with him. Hastamalaka, Padmapada, Vidyanidhi, Anandagiri Pravarabhidhanihi. So this Anandagiri, who is the author of this text, he himself was one of the 4 who stayed with Bhagavatpāda. And it's like Sanjaya himself describing what went on when Sanjaya was also there in the battlefield. So later on he recounts that, and he was a witness to all these proceedings also. So he says that Bhagavatpāda retained with him only these 4 Shishyas. Hastabalaka, Padmapada, we know, Vidyanidhi, this is a unique name, and Anandagiri. So Pravara Abhidhanihi Samsevyamanaha Tasmat Purat Varunasham Agamat. So from that Mandara Mishra's place, he went to the western direction, which is the Adhidevata of which is considered to be Varuna. Tatra Anyatra cha Nana Narma Vibheram Jatva Avritapuramiti Prasiddham Kanchit Pattana Vishesham Prapya. So from there he inquired about, he learnt of a place called Avritapuram, in which there was an opportunity for various kinds of various forms of pleasures to be experienced. And so here the one important thing we should keep in mind. Shri Sadashiva Brahmendra in his Jagadguru Ratnamala, he specifically says, Parakiya Vapuh Pravesha Shailya Smaratantrani Vidan Vashi Na Laulyat Akritatanu Bharatiyum Vasheyaha Sukritannasya Janochu Shankararyaha. So Bhagavatpāda was put in a situation in which he had to somehow legitimately gain the knowledge of this Shastra in which he has been questioned by Saraswati Devi. So what does he do? Through Parakaya Pravesha Vidya, which is a Yoga Siddhi, he enters another body which is eligible to experience such things, and he learns of it, and he gives the reply that Saraswati Devi, he gains the capability of giving that reply. So, but we should understand, see, lots of Itihasa Kathas, Purana Kathas are there, in which Maharshis or Yogis do such Parakaya Pravesha or various other prasangas, which make, if we do not clearly understand these things with a proper mindset, then it will give us the wrong impression and the wrong understanding, and in fact disturb us. So we should understand that these Yogishwaras, they have gained these Yoga Siddhis by Brahmacharya. See, even if such Grasthas or normal people like ourselves, we are to follow a Vrata, then as part of that Vrata, Brahmacharya is very important. Brahmacharya is the one that gives that virya to that Vrata. So if that Brahmacharya is being lost, then there is no, then how would they gain such powers? So they have their senses fully in their control. That we should very clearly keep in mind. And especially here, so it is not as if they have lost control. Especially here, when he plans this, this is the only way to come out of this difficulty. So he does this. So na laulya, it is not because of he is losing control that such things are happening. If somebody loses control, they cannot even execute that parakaya pravesha. They would not have that shakti at all. They would not have that yoga siddhi at all. So keeping this in mind, we should examine the upcoming text. So he comes to that Amritapura and he learns. He learns means he by his divya drishti, he knows that this is going to happen. The Raja of that Nagara, he just shortly a short while ago he has passed away. So tat patau mrute tadiya deham chitikatam jatva. So his body has been brought and placed on the chiti to do the antima samskara. Tatpura Prantadrikotane. Meanwhile, Bhagavatpāda, he goes to the outer part of the that Nagara, and there is a mountain, there is a hill there, and there is a guha within that hill, and there he keeps his body, Nijadeham Samsthapya, Rakshata iti Shikshanukta. He instructs his disciples, those four who came with him, to protect this body. Parakaya Pravesha Vidya Prapanchena. So through this Parakaya Pravesha Vidya, Linga Sharira Matrena cha Sabhimani Chitikataha Chitikatam Dripakalaya Varanishtam Brahmarandram Pravishat. So this is actually really the procedure by which if somebody at the point of what is Maranam or death, this is how a life passes away from a Sharira. From this Thola Sharira, there is the Sukshma Sharira which is inside this and the Karana Sharira which is inside that Sukshma Sharira. That Sukshma Sharira and Karana Sharira leaves this Thula Sharira and it goes to another. So this is the natural procedure and there is the normal procedure. And the speciality here is that these yogis are able to do that through their will. If they want to do that, they are able to do that. That is their yoga siddhi. So they remove that, they take out that Karana Sharira and the Linga Sharira from this Thula Sharira. And what he does is that Bhagavatpāda, he goes to that body which is placed on that city, and this Brahmarantra, which is the opening at the top of the skull, that is where, as per the Shastras, when the life enters a fetus, Garbha, the baby, it enters through this Brahmarantra. It is something that was already described in an earlier, much earlier Prakarana from Aitareya Upanishad. So he enters the body of the king through this Brahmarantra. So once he enters that, he animates that body. That is that the Sukshma Sharira has taken control of this Sthula Sharira and it is able to move this body. So once the hands and feet are moving, so immediately Nripameeksha Paura Sarvepi Prabhulla, all those people who have they are in much they have been bereaved, and because of the dukkha of losing their king, they are very sad. But they come here and they when they saw that the king seems to have come out, he is not really dead. So they are all, their faces are alight with happiness, joy, and so immediately they bring him out of that city. And Prapta Jivam Rajanam Shaityopacharehi Anekehi Swastham Kritva. So they do lots of upacharas to make him recover. And Chiti Divesha Doshavada Pariharaya. So because by mistake, apparently, they have placed a body which is not really dead on a chiti, which is so that to remove this dosha, Shantyartham Bahugo Kshiradhara Abhishekam Kritva. So they perform Abhisheka using Gokshira and so many other things as per Shastra, and they bring that king. His name is Bhuvatim Amaruketi Prasiddham. So the name of the king is Amaruka. And Shankha, Bheri, Kolahala, Thakka, Tala, Mardala, Prabhati, Vadya Visheshehi, with all these Vadyas, Shankha, Bheri, and all the Talas, with all these Vadyas, they bring him back to the city. Vandyadi Stotra Visheshehi, those people whose job is to praise, sing the various praises of the kings, and they also accompany. And Varangana, Natya Visheshehi, the women who are supposed the dancers, dancing ladies, their dances and all these things are it is a very happy, joyous occasion for them that their king has come back. Viprapatita Shanti Sukta Visheshehi. The Brahmanas are going ahead by chanting lots of Shanti mantras, Purastri Kadamba Krita Nirajar Visheshehi. So the once he enters the town, and the lords of the women of the Nagara, they take Arati to their king. Hasti Ashwa Ratha Padanuga Chaturvidha Balasametaha Param Apta Bhauraha Parama Apta Bhauraha. So along with all the four kinds of the Sainya, the people, the important people who are very much dedicated, devoted to their king, Prabhum Simhasana Arudham Achakruhu. So they place him on his throne, and through that, after that, just to make them happy, and here to assure everybody, he stayed on the throne for a while, and obviously people would understand he has gone through something, so he needs to take rest. So then he leaves the throne hall and he goes to the Antapura, and he goes to the house of his Patamahishi, and he stays that night with him, and through that he learns what he needs to know to be able to reply to Sarasavani Devi. And but this lady, she is a very smart lady. She realizes that she knows how her Bharta would behave, and she notes a difference. So she says that this is Tatalapa Visheshagya Jeshtapatni Kaladivit Dehamatram hi Bhartu Syad Na Jivoyam hi Sarvavit. So this is not the same person, the same Jiva who left this body. So this is a Sarvajnani, a Yogishwara has entered this body, and iti jnatva balam dikshu preshayamasa sattaram. So the next morning what she does is she wants to retain this Yogishwara in this body, because she feels that if this yogi is there and he rules this kingdom through this body, and it will result in all around welfare for everybody. So she sends her people to all the directions. Yatra kutra sharirani jivahinani bhubishu. So go and search for places where there is a body with no life. Guptani shishya sanghairva nadi devalayadishu. So if there is a Yogeshwara who is practicing this Prakaya Pravesha, then he would probably preserve his body through shishyas. And it might be on the banks of a river or in a temple. Guhasu bhubhrutambapi, or it might be even in the cave of a hill. Madhyetu adasha yojana, go to search through to 10 yojana, the distance of 10 yojanas. Alokya tani sarvani chitva ayantu. So she gives another instruction which is not mentioned here. So go and find all such bodies and search for such a body and come back. Abadi tepi tadvakyad anveshana para bhavan. So by the instructions of the king, queen, they all go out and search. Dripastha Danganasanka Mahima Padyavarnanam Akarot Shastra Mamarukam Shata Sankhya Samiritam. So because of the experience that he has received, the king now he composes a grantha which describes that particular Shastra, which is called Amaruka Shataka, because it is in the body of that king by name Amaruka. Ananta Anandagiri Kritav Dehantara Sanchara Vidita Shastra Prapancho Nama Prakaranam Ashtapanchasham. So the 58th Prakarana thus ends, and by this time the people, the queens, the people who are following the orders of the queen, they come. Tata Shankara Gatragyaha Charaha Shishyopasevanat. So they note that there are some sannyasis who are here, and they seem to be protecting something which is there inside the guha of that hill. So they learn of that body, and somehow they seem to have what has happened. Either they set away the shishyas, but this is not so likely. What is more likely is that what seems to have happened is that the shishyas, due to the passage of time, they got concerned with when will our guru come back, because days are going by. It's not described how many days exactly, but they have gotten concerned and they want to bring back their guru. And it is not as if they do not have belief in their guru, or that their guru would have forgotten himself, forgotten his Nija Swarupa, but due to Preeti Vishesha, due to excessive concern and love and affection for the guru, they want to remind him of something that he definitely already knows. So then, so they have left this place in search of, they want to go to the Rajya Sabha and bring back the guru from the body of the king. So they know that he has entered the body of the king. But at this time, what happens is that Kritva Chitim Kashtha Shataihi Tanmadhye Sthapya Tattanum. So, what these Rajabhatas do by the orders of the queen, so they compose chiti made of hundreds of wooden logs and place that body in the middle of that chiti. And Bandhina Sanjutan Chakroho Shishya Stavat Purangata. By the time that the Shishyas had gone to the city, these Rajabhatas have given alighted that given light, I mean, added fire, lit the city there. Alokya Natyam Gurvanti Bodhayantah Proktibi. So what has happened here? By this time, the Shishyas who have reached the city, they go to outside the palace and they sing some verses which are indirectly intended to remind the king of his real Swarupa, and they are as if they are doing some natya. The other people will not understand what this is for, but the king will understand. Yet Satya Mukhya Shabdarthanukulam Tattvamasi 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 Rajan. So the verse, the line from the phrase from the Taittiriya Upanishad which gives the Lakshana of Brahmavastu, the very first word is Satyam, and that which is the real meaning of the word Satyam, that is that Brahmavastu, that is your real Swarupa, O Rajan. So they sing thus: Dahyetattvam vidita dripabhavam. This what you think of yourself as this king, this is not your real form. Tattvamasi 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 Rajan. So your real form is that Aparamatma Vastu. Vishwotpatyadi vidhihetu bhutam Tattvamasi 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 Rajan. That Paramatma Swarupa, which is the cause of the Srishti Sthiti Samhara of this entire world. Sarvadevatmakam Sarvamadvaitam Tattvamasi 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 Rajan. That Paramatma Swarupa which is inside all the Devatas and which is indivisibly permeating this entire world. That is your real Swarupa. Yes, Tarkike Ishvara Sarvahetuhu Tattvamasi 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 Rajan. The word Uchyate needs to be taken as Adhyahara here. The Ishvara, who is the reason, who is the cause of all the creation and the activities of the world, that Ishvara Swarupa is you. Yad Vedantibhir Brahma Sarvastham Tattvamasi 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 Rajan. The Vedantis, they speak of that Brahmavastu which is present in everything. That is your real Swarupa. Yad Jaiminanoktam Akhilam Karma. So that Karmanusthana which has been described in detail by Jaimini, that is your real Swarupa, O Rajan. Because Bhagavan Paramatma is the one who is there in the form of this Yajnanusthana, Yajnabhrad, Yajnagrid, Yajni, Yajnabhuk, Yajnasadhanaha, Yajnantagrad, Yajnaguhyam, as it is said in the Sahasranama Stotra. So that Bhagavan is of the form of this, all the Karmanushtanas which have been described by Jaimini. Yat Praninipraha Shabdaswarupam Tattvamasi. So that Shabdaswarupa, which is considered to be the manifestation of Brahmavastu by the grammarians such as Panini, that is your Paramatma Swarupa, is your real Swarupa. Yet Sankyanam Matahetu Bhutam. So what is that Purusha Tattva which is described in the Sankhya Shastra, that is your real Swarupa. Ashtanga Yogoktam Anantarupam Tattvamasi 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 Rajan. So whatever is to be achieved by or attained by that Ashtanga Yoga, which that form, that Ishvara Swarupa, which in fact takes up all the other Swarupas of the world, that is your real form. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, the very direct quotation from the Taittiriya Upanishad, that is your real form. Ahye Tattvam Drishya Prapancham, what is this form which is observing all these worldly things, this is not your real form. Yet Brahmano Brahma Vishnu Ishvara Yabhavan, from which Brahmavastu, Brahma, Vishnu, Ishvara and other such forms, deities, they were created, that is your real form. Sarvadharam hi sarvatmakanjat tattvamasi. So that which is the basis, substratum of everything and which is inside everything, the Atma Swarupa of everything, that is your real form. Tadurubhaveva asmabhirviditam tava purva yatyashramastham. So if at all you have a physical body, then that in the sannyasa ashrama, the form which is there, that is the one that we know of. Anandagiriya kritau shishya nama ekona shattitarama prakaranam. So in this prakarana, the Shishyas come and they have called their guru, Prodbodhito Raja Morcham Avalambya. So apparently the Raja was there, he composed all those verses and he was there in the Sabha. And when he hears these verses, realizes that something wrong has happened to that body. He needs to immediately go back. Sarvesham sadasi dehan nirgamitaha. So immediately, so just the previously that was the real death of the king, but now this Yogeshwara, that is Bhagavatpāda, who has entered this body, is leaving this body. So in front of everybody, he discards that body and nedastha pakshivat, like a bird which goes back to its nest. Salingakaha girikotare nijangam aprapya. So he goes back to the guha of the mountain or the hill, but he sees that his body is not there. Chitimadhyagam bhiksha. Then he finds that the body has been placed upon a chiti which is burned. Bandhijwala madhye kapala madhyat pravisha. So he immediately enters that body which is there in the middle of the flames of the fire through the same middle of the kapala. Antaha tadavasthapanaya hi Lakshmi Narasimham tada stauti. So immediately he prays to Bhagavan Lakshmi Narasimha to restore the body to its proper condition. So he sings Brahmendra Rudra Marudarka Kirita Koti Sanghattitangri Kamalaruna Kantikanta. So he praises Bhagavan Srimad Lakshmi Narasimha, as whose lotus feet is touched by the kiritas, by the crowns of Brahma, Indra, Rudra, Marudganas, Surya, and all the other devatas. They all bow to Lakshmi Narasimha and their kiritas touch the feet of Lakshmi Narasimha, and that the feet of Lakshmi Narasimha shines with a reddish hue, which is so beautiful. And Lakshmi Narasimha, Lakshmi Lasat Kucha Saroruha Rajahamsa. So Lakshmi Narasimha is the Rajahamsa who plays in the Vakshasthala of Mahalakshmi, and Lakshmi Narasimha Mamadehi Karavalambam, so on Ityadivi Shlokaihi. So through all these shlokas, he prays to Lakshmi Narasimha, give me your hand. So we say he gave his hand and brought him up out of the difficulty. Stutaha Nrasimhopi Lakshmi Sametaha Sakshat Babhuva. So once through the praise of Bhagavatpāda, Lakshmi Narasimha was immediately manifest there. Jwalamala Sahasra Pariveshtitam Chitim Samiksha. So he saw that this chiti was surrounded by thousands of flames. And Dakshana Karavalambaram Acharyasya Datta, with his right hand, he catches the right hand of Bhagavatpāda and brings him out. Uthapya Agnishikhagrata Vikritim Swadriga Amrita Puranena Samyak Vidhaya. So whatever damage would have been caused to the body by the flames, but through this Amrita Kataksha, Bhagavan Lakshmi Narasimha cures him or restores that entire the physical condition of the body. Sarvalokam Jaya Ityashisha Krutva. So he blesses Bhagavatpāda to be victorious through all the words. Swayam Tirohito Bhavate. Immediately Lakshmi Narasimha disappeared. And Saraswati Jaya. And so he made this, the 60th Prakarana, and next the 61st, which is a very small Prakarana. It just says, recounts how Acharyas Tataha Shishyajana Sevyamanaha Shighram Mandara Mishrapuram Prapya Gaganasarastham Sarasavani Drishtva. So immediately Bhagavatpāda feels that already lots of time has passed away. So he immediately returns to this the place of Mandara Mishra, and Sarasavani is still there. She is waiting there in that particular place. Parama Tattva Swarupini. She is of the form of all the Tattvas. Sarva Kalavatim. She is of the form of all the Vidyas. Praha Mataha. He calls her Amma. Tvatkrita Ratishastra Prashnanam Uttaram Adhyaiva Vakshami. So I will I am immediately today itself I am able to give you the answers to the questions about which you of the Shastra about which you asked last. And evam bhagmatrenaiva sarvagya sarasavani. So how beautiful, how honorable. So we do not need to say this, but nevertheless, how Bhagavati Saraswati handles the situation. It is actually not correct to ask a sannyasi about these things, but just to show his yoga siddhi, to show his sarvajnatva, Saraswati asked him about this particular shastra, and now it is not at all necessary, because again, because he composed that Amaruka Shataka, so which is proof that he is knowledgeable in that shastra also when he was in the body of the king, and now in the body of the sannyasi, he is able to give the answers, and that is sufficient. Sarvagya Sarasavani Sarvagyastvam iti Swaminam Prastuvati Asi. So she praises because he is the avatar of Sarvagya Parameshwaran. She is the avatar of Saraswati. She says, "You are Sarvagya," and so she praised him and left. Tatastu acharyopi vidita samasta padartha kritartho babhu. So Bhagavatpāda, because his Sarvajñatva has been proved here, and so he had accomplished what he needed to. Thus ends the 61st Prakarana, Anandagiri Saraswati Jayo Nama Prakaranam Ekashashtikam. So in the next Prakarana, briefly we will examine. Tatah param acharyaha sarasamanim mantrabaddhang kritva. So Gaganamargadeva Sringagiri Samipe Tungabhadra Tire Chakran Nirmaya. So here it is said that Bhagavatpāda, because he has already controlled the movement of the Devi through the Durga mantra, and he immediately, because he might feel that already lots of time has elapsed, so because Saraswati was actually about to go to Brahmaloka, so through Akashamarga he brought her to the place in the merger, the confluence of the Tunga and Bhadra rivers, which is the original place of the name of Sringagiri, and there he placed a chakra and he installed her. Tadagre Paradevatam Sarasavanim Nidhaya. So, evam akalpa akalpam sthirabhava madashraya ityagyapya. So he ordered her, instructed her prarthana, bhakti prarthana, that he installed the Devi there, and he prays to her to stay there. So of course in other Shankara Charitra Granthas it is said that Bhagavatpāda was walking and the Devi was coming behind him. And here again in the same place, in all the texts it is very clearly said Tungabhadra. And in that merger area, because of the sands, the anklet sound of the Devi was muffled, and because of that Bhagavatpāda turned back to see that Devi is no longer, whether she is no longer coming, and because of that Devi stood there immediately. So as per each text, we are to honestly report what is there in the text, and in this text this is how it is said, but it is very clearly noted that the place is the Tungabhadra. The Tunga and Bhadra, where they join, that is Tungabhadra. That is the starting part of Tungabhadra. And he there, because it is the Sannidhi of the Vidyadhi Devata, Nijamatham Kritva, Tatra Vidyapitha Nirmanam Kritva, Bharati Sampradayam Nijashisheshu Chakara. So he created the Bharati Sampradaya at that particular Kshetra. So now, perhaps because of the mention of the Saraswati Vidyadhi Devata or what, Anandagiri Swami, he gives a general description of how the Upasana of Guru gives us Brahmajnana. Yes, Shankaracharya Guru Pravaryam Nityam Smarat Uttamalokavasi Guru Swarupagyataya hi Muktaha Satyam Param Brahma Gurur Nachanyat. So if who daily remembers, meditates upon the Shankaracharya Bhagavatpāda, he attains the Uttamaloka Vasa. And when he realizes the Swarupa of Bhagavatpāda, he attains Mukti, because as it is said, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Satyam Param Brahma Guruhu. The Param Brahma itself is of the form of Guru and nothing else. So because knowing the Guru means it takes you to knowing Param Brahma, which gives you moksha. Dharayanam, then the Guru Parampara Stuti is placed here. Narayanam Bhavam Vasishtham Shaktincha Tatpitra Varasharanja Yasamshukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Vathasya Shishyam Shri Shankaracharya Athasya Padma Padancha Hastamalakanta Shishyam Tam Totakam Vartikagara Manyanasmat Guru Sadgatamanatosmi. So then further this Anandagiri Swami says, Guru Abhimataha, one who has earned the approval of the Guru, Shuddha Advaita Matam Avalambya. So taking up the accepting Advaita is the Paramartha Siddhanta. Shraddha Bhakti Sameta Vritya, with Shraddha and Bhakti, do Kaikarya to Guru, to do follow what the Guru advises you. Jagrada Devastha Trayatitam. That Manonmani, this word has already been mentioned in previous Prakaranas also, that Manonmani Swarupa, which is beyond the mind, which is beyond these three states of wakefulness, dream and dreamless sleep. Angushtamatra Tanum Dhyatva, that Angushtamatra Swarupa, which is there in the heart, which is where the Paramatma, Shuddha Paramatma is manifest. Tadvara Shuddham, Nishkalam, Nishkriyam, Shantam, Niravadyam, Niranjanam, Satyam, Pranam, Jnanamanantam, Brahma, Ityadi, Vakya Siddham, Paramatmanam, Yoga Veda. One who realizes that Paramatma Swarupa, who is there in the heart, who is devoid of all uh, deformations, who is of always of immersed in peace, and which is the truth and Ananda Swarupa. Ityadi Vakya Siddham Paramatmanam Yoga Veda. That person who realizes that Paramatma Swarupa, Saha Avidya Kanchukat Mukto Bhavati iti Shuddhadika. So this is the clear path that such a person will be able to relieve himself of that Avidya Kanchuka. Avidya, as if it is a shirt. If you are wearing a shirt is not part of your body, you can remove the shirt and throw it away. So likewise, this avidya is temporarily covering us, but that avidya can be thrown away by knowing this, doing this Guru Upasana and earning the anugrah of the Guru, and through that earning jnana. So Anandagiri Kripau Guru Sarasavanyascha Sringagiri Sthana Nivasaran Nama Dvishashtitama Prakaranam. So this ends the 62nd Prakarana. And later on in the further Prakaranas, it is described how Bhagavatpāda creates the Kanchipura and so on. And by the Guru Kripa, we will be examining those parts in further sessions. Sarvavyapaka Chaitanya Rupena Adhyapi Tishtari Sayeva Shankaracharyo Gurur Mukti Pradasram. Hara Hara Shankara, Jai Jai Shankara.